Welcome to lesson 11. How are we doing? Getting through all this. This next lesson is going to be quite quickly. It's going to be done quite fast. This is going to be on the sociology of aging. For the most part, we're going to kind of recap a lot of the things, a lot of the generic things that we have gone over in previous chapters, especially from the very beginning, but we're going to look at it through a sociology perspective. Okay, so first of all, let's look at the different stages that a human being is going to go through throughout their whole lifespan. Okay, so if we divide the lifespan up, we have first you got infancy, then you become a toddler, then you go through childhood, then adolescence is probably where you guys are right now, still in the adolescent phase / young adult-ish. So then you have young adult, and then we have your prime adulthood age. This is usually like 30s, 40s, you know, and then you got middle age. This is like 50s, okay? And then we have old age. So once you hit 65 and older. So social gerontology. This is the study of the social aspects of aging, okay? And so aging, what is aging? Well, this is the combination of all the biological stuff that happens to you, the psychological things, and the social processes that are going to affect you as you get older. Okay, biological aging, this is completely unavoidable. I know everyone wants to avoid biological aging. We don't want to see wrinkles. We don't want to start getting aches and pains. Nobody wants any of that stuff, and we can age a little bit better if we take really good care of ourselves and you know, take our vitamins, eat well, exercise, things like that. You can slow the process of your biological aging. However, it is completely unavoidable. You will age biologically, physically. So the whole idea of someone being like a weak and frail older adult is a very overstated stereotype. People don't have to become that. Yes, that, you know, can happen, but that's not even, you know, it's not even as common, especially if you look at adults who are just barely going into retirement. They're definitely not at that point, okay? Or many are not at that point. And then psychological aging, this is clarity of thought. Having your clarity of thought, okay? Usually this, this is going to be different for everyone, okay? Some will start to, you know, their clarity of thought will start to, you know, degrade over time, especially once you hit your late 60s or 70s especially, but it doesn't have to. There are genetic factors, and there are also environmental and, you know, other factors that are associated with this. But sometimes clarity of thought can remain completely intact throughout an individual's lifespan. Okay, and many times it might not even, it might remain completely intact until very late on in their life. Okay, and then we have social aging. This is going to consist of norms, the values and rules, and that are culturally associated with a particular chronological age. So a lot of the different norms and values that are associated with your age are going to be different when you hit like each different stage of your life. Okay, like, you know, there may be a point where you're like a mother or you're a father, like you're a parent. Okay, and so you're going to have different norms, values, roles that you have to play there. And then as time moves on, there are different roles you're going to have to play, you know, and all your different stages of life. So when you hit old age, your life roles will change then as well. The graying of the United States society. So this is a thing. This is a thing, you guys. So the graying. What's happening is there's a major increase in the population. that is of older adults. Okay, we already have a bunch of older adults, and of course we all know we're all living longer. We have longer life expectancies in the United States. In addition, we have the baby booming generation who's going into old age. They're all, they're starting to retire and, join the older adult people. Okay, so we have a gigantic population who is joining that group. All right. Also, so that's going to contribute to the graying. Also, we have families now that are way less likely to have a bunch of kids. Okay, many families today are choosing to have like 2 children or maybe 1 and whatnot. People are having fewer children, unlike back in the day. Or even 30 years ago, my parents had a bunch of kids, okay? And I know my parents' parents had even more kids, okay? So it was, back in the day, people had a lot more kids, and, those people are getting older. Those are huge populations that are, thanks to medical technology, they've been able to stay. Everyone is, a lot of people have been able to stay alive and have longer lifespans, longer life expectancies. Back in the old days, yes, people had even more kids, but our life expectancy wasn't as large as it is today back then. Okay, in the 1800s or even before that, yes, people had tons of kids back then, but then some of your children were expected to not really even make it to adulthood, and then after adulthood, then it's only so many years that you had after that. So, I mean, nowadays we're living so much longer, okay, and then we're also choosing to have less children. Okay, so our family sizes are getting smaller, we're living a lot longer. And that means that the people of the younger people in the past from the large families are all getting older. So we have a lot more older people. So I hope I didn't make that a mess for you guys. Hope it's not confusing. So there are some sociological theories of aging. So we're going to go through a couple of these. So first, let's look at the concept of functionalism. All right, this is the, retaining function, being able to do things, to fulfill your roles, okay? There are 2 different theories that fit in with functionalism of aging, growing old. So first we have the disengagement theory, and this theory says that it is functional for society to remove people from their traditional roles when they get old. Okay, so that we can open up more roles for the younger people. Okay, so all the roles that we have going on, CEOs, managers, politicians, all these roles that our older adults are holding right now, it is best for society. It's best for the functionality of society for them to give up their roles as they get older and allow the younger adults to take over. Next, we have activity theory. So this is where the older adults who are busy and engaged and lead productive lives and are leaders and they're doing things in society and in their communities. When they do things like this can be very functional for society. It can be a good thing. It can be very productive for society. Okay, now let's go down to the concept of social conflict. Okay, so large social structures help shape the opportunities that are available to the older adults. And then unequal opportunities are seen as creating potential for the conflict. So when there are unequal opportunities, there's potential for creating solutions and for making better things happen, and that's how we grow. Okay, that's how we move forward and create a whole new different things, so that we don't stay static in like the same the same roles and the same stuff and the same thing that we do every day. The only way society moves forward is when we do have problems and we find ways to fix them, okay, and to change our routines and how we function. And then that's how we make things better, right? So the older adults are seen as competing with younger workers for a shrinking pool of jobs these days. So what this is really saying is there's a lot of social conflict. The older adults are competing with those many jobs that the younger adults may or may not, or should not, depending on how you feel about this, should probably have. Because there's a much shrinking pool of jobs right now. Okay. So is this sustainable? Is it not sustainable for society? What do you guys think? And then let's look at the self-concept and aging. Okay, so there are new theories that emphasize how the older adults, rather than merely just adapting to the larger society or become victim of the stratification system, should play an active role in determining their own physical and mental well-being. Okay, so what type of role should older adults be playing in society? Okay, should they be playing a very active role in, learning what's going on with them and being able to make certain decisions for themselves, or should they be kind of adapting to what society tells them to do and allow them to just kind of, be that victim and allowing society to sort of move them around and do what society thinks is best for them? Okay. So aging in the United States. The elderly are a very diverse population, okay? We have a lot of different, different people in our older adult population. Ethnically, there is a white majority, okay? And typically this white majority tends to live a lot longer than the more ethnic groups. So there are different categories age-wise of older adults in this country. So they have what's called the young old, and this is for people, the people that fit into this category are going to be those who are age 65 to 74. So these people have probably just gone into retirement, or maybe they chose to continue working. Usually the people of this group might not necessarily need too many long-term care services. They're probably still kind of active. They might even want to refuse retirement because they want to stay active and they don't want to lose function. And then we have the old, and this is going to be ages 75 to 84. At this point, they definitely, many older adults are definitely going to start to use more long-term care services and things like that. And then we have oldest old. This is ages 85 and older. Okay, and usually at this point, what we're going to see is that there won't be as much utilization of healthcare services as there are in the old category. Okay, and I mean, I've had students in the past tell me what they think is happening here, and one student told me that he believes that at this point, once you hit 85 and older, you've already survived everything, okay? And whether it's because you're very healthy, you've been taking care of yourself, your cognitive function, your clarity of thought is on point, you got over the hump, whatever it is, there's a reason why you lasted that long, okay? And you probably are one of those people who've never really used much medical care in the past anyway, okay? You probably always maintained your health and did as much as you could on your own, and So once you hit that point, most of the people at that point are probably part of that group, and people who are younger, who are still part of the old category, those people, you're going to see a lot of medical services being used by that group. But usually, since our lifespan is, our life expectancy is late 70s, right? Or average life expectancy. So the average older adult probably is going to pass around this time when they're in the old category. So those who have made it are probably doing something for their health, or their, maybe they just had the right genes, whatever it was. But those people tend to not use as many healthcare services as a lot of the people in the old category, interestingly enough. Anyway, so then we have prejudice. Okay, so this is going to be discrimination towards adults that's just going to be completely based on age and is fueled by stereotypes. So I know that we have gone over a lot of the stereotypes in previous chapters and myths about the older adults and the older adult population. So there's a lot of ageism and discrimination against older adults based on those stereotypes, unfortunately. Then we have physical abuse, and it's not as widespread as it may commonly be believed, according to the book. However, it might be more widespread than we think, just given that a lot of cases probably are not reported. Okay, it probably is way more common than we would think, and it's just because a lot of older adults they may be afraid to report abuse. Okay, so and then health problems. Many older adults have declined in recent years, except for, like I said, the oldest old groups. They have experienced over their lifetime, and even in their old age, fewer health problems. Okay? So, the politics of aging. All right, the older adults make up a potentially potent voice in American politics, and I think we all know this, and this is expected, right? Most of our politicians are people of retirement age, right? 65 and older. So they make up a very potent voice in American politics. Also, we have American Association of Retired People, AARP. I think we're all kind of familiar with this, even though if we don't know exactly what they do, we see it everywhere, right? Well, this is for people who are part of the older adult group, and they advocate. They're like an interest group, okay, an advocacy group that really help and fight for a lot of the older adults' rights in politics, and as well as trying to provide some, programs for the older adults. Okay. Then we have two of the main public programs that help the older adults. Okay, once they hit retirement age, and those are Social Security and Medicare. Okay. So the older adults play a major role in political struggles over whether to continue these programs and in what forms. And I know that, and I think we all should know that right now the system isn't really sustainable. Okay, we don't know if there's going to be enough money to continue what we're doing. It might be okay for now, and we can take care of the older adults who are going into retirement now, but in the future, will I be able to get Social Security and Medicare? I don't know. Would anyone else? I don't know. Okay, so the question here is that do the older adults have an unfair amount of government support or not? What do you guys think? Okay, so gender and aging, what's kind of the differences between men and women? Basically, depending on how you look at it, different things happen to both sides. It's not one or the other who really gets the short end of the stick here. So women do tend to live a lot longer than men, but women in their older age tend to be more likely to be poor, very low income. Also, they might be living in poorer health than men. They're also more likely to be single than men as well, and a lot of that has to be because women are more likely to be widowed at a certain point in old age, and then they're single. And so there are very few single men, actually, in the older adult community. And once there's once there's a single man in the older adult community, they're going to get snatched up quite quickly. Or they tend to, because there are way more single women out there than men, so they're going to kind of, try to go after the newly single men. Okay, so this is going to be as far as we go in this lesson. There are a few more slides, so I definitely want to invite you guys to go ahead and go through those slides, the last 3 slides on your own, but this is where we end. Okay, so go through those slides on your own. Some of the information there is definitely useful, and some of them you are going to be responsible for. With whatever is in the homework. Other than that, if you have any questions about this lesson, please let me know in the comments or in the email, and I'll see you in the next lesson.